Hey guys, what's up? NPS Ready here and welcome back to another excited video. So today I will share top 10 tips video which I discovered over the years while learning Blender and also doing experiment in visual effects. So it gonna be very helpful for you. I will highly recommend don't skip this video because I guess you will discover a new technique today, so definitely you will learn something new. So let's get started this video after this NPS 3D intro. Yeah, let's get started. And by the way, I am in the nature just to showcase you how beautiful this nature is. So let's get started this video. So this tip will save your life because I'm making tutorials for visual effect a lot. I am getting a lot of comments like people are using Ae2blend add-on, and if I'll open After Effects and if I'll show you this clip, like if I'll play, you can see this here, the solid is stick on the ground, but when they transfer this data inside Blender, they get weird result like this. You can see it's not sticking on the ground and looks like the tracking is not working over here. So I will show you how we can easily fix it. So first, always match your frame rate. So if I'll go to the After Effects composition setting, here you can see the width and height and frame rate. So first always try to match it, like 1080 by 920 resolution is good. Frame rate just make it 30, and the next step which you have to do is to just double tap on your camera, just copy the focal length, Control C, and let's jump back inside the Blender, select the camera properties, and on the focal length of Blender camera let's Control V, and boom, we are pretty much good. Let's play and check. You can see still it's not behaving like it's sticking on the ground. So the next step which you have to follow is just click here and divide this by 1.77778, and now you are good. You can see this is properly sticking, almost properly sticking on the ground, and this is the thing which you have to do always to get the good results. And I think we only track 180, so let me jump over here 180 frames and also select the camera. And one thing I just missed, and now you can see it's properly sticking on the ground, and this is what we have to do. So just copy the focal length, paste over here on the Blender camera, and make sure to divide this into 1.7778, and this will good to go. For the people who are more deeply interested learning visual effect and want to try out few more different technique to create visual effect, I made a course called Modern Visual Effect. It's totally based on visual effect where you can learn amazing effect which we commonly seen on social media and all. And right now this is available with 20% discount. The link will be in my video description. You can go there and check this course. It's really amazing, guys. I experimented a lot and then I combine everything in a course and I make it available for you. So anyways, if you can afford, you can go and check that course. Let's get started with this video. Imperfection play a big role to make your scene a lot more real. So let's suppose if I'll disable this, I will use press N and I'll go to the polygonic. So polygonic has a product called traffic which allow us to quickly spawn assets into our 3D scene. So if I'll go here and choose go to the supercars, and let's choose this red one and hit OK. And this looks little small, so I will just make it big, RZ to rotate this. So this looks okay. This looks really okay, and these are good to go. But if I'll press N and if I'll go down, they also provide me a custom control for the dot, scratches and bump. And by default the opacity is totally low, but you can increase and play with that. Like I'll increase the dot full and make it, just set it, and now you can see we have dot going on into our car. Let's add scratches also. So maybe I will increase the scratches more. Here you can see the scratches, and also you can see the dot going on into the wheels, and also I can add some bumps. So this way you can quickly make you can see your car look more real. If you want anything less, just like I want less bumps, so I will just set it and it will turn it down. So this is a quickly things which I show you here. But let's suppose if you have a object, so let me disable this car and let's create a and let me enable metallic and also down the roughness a lot like this. We'll add a muskrap texture, or maybe you can add some noise texture and plug this height into the roughness section. You can see we are adding some kind of a imperfection which is not accurate at the moment, but the way you can add is just like download some imperfection textures from online. There are a lot of textures available. Some are free, some are paid, but you can download it and you can just simply add into your object, and this will make your object looks more real and more believable compared to the default one. So the possibilities are endless. You can definitely play and see which things are work. You can even use some like noise, and you can play according that. So we have a ball, but you can see this has more roughness and some kind of a imperfection going on. So I am right now I am using some noise and other inbuilt material to create this, but you can use a proper imperfection textures and that will do the job. So let's move to the next. Alright, so the next step is you did everything, like you transfer the camera, also copy the focal length and also divided this, but still tracking looks little good, but it's the orientation looks a bit off. So let me show you how you can fix it. For correcting the orientation, first just collapse everything. Let's create a cube which will be a reference. So Shift A and create a cube. Let's go over here. So this is our cube, and I'll just double tap and rename this to the one control. So you can see if I created a cube, and if I'll go here, the dimension is 2 by 2 by 2 meter, but still it looks very small. So this tip is all about the orientation, like how you can correct the rotation, scale and position. So in this case position looks good, so I'm not going to change it, but hope in some cases your plane is floating in the air or it's off completely from the grid. You can see not this one, but in case your location is off, you will do the way I will correct the rotation and all other things. So just create a control. Let's select the camera transform, and with holding shift I will select this plane transform. Okay, select the camera transform and hit with holding shift select the plane transform, and I will zoom, and I will zoom to the controller cube over here. And in last I will select by holding shift select this cube and press Ctrl P and choose object keep transform. Now you can see everything is linked with this cube, and I'll simply select this control and I'll press S and just focus on the grid. You can see the grid is scaling, and if you want to check the scale, you just simply create a new cube. You can see this is now bigger compared to the previous one. So it's up to you, like you think it's pretty good, you can just leave it here, otherwise you can keep tweaking the scale until you are happy. The next thing which you have to do, correct, is the rotation. So I will select this and press RZ and I'll just simply rotate. You can see the axis is, we are manipulating the axis, like the red is X and the green is Y. And now if I'll hide this cube, you can see these are the axes which is available. Let's jump to the X-ray view, and you can see right now we fix the scale and rotation. You can also fix the location this way. So I hope this will help you too. Please hit the like button, please. Let's move to the next. This tip will help you to render VDV fast. Few months ago, I used VDV clouds into my scene for 3D animation, and few days ago, I created a visual effect shot where I use VDV in my scene. It looks beautiful on screen, but it's a bit crucial for rendering because it took a lot of GPU power and computing power to calculate and render VDV. So I will show you a simple method which I use to render VDV fast. So first let me show you with a default setting what I have and how many seconds we will get. So here on screen you can see, if I'll go to the render, and I'm rendering it 256 samples, and in the light path I will go here, I added 2 samples in the volume. You can increase, but I keep it 2, which is not less and not high. So this is the minimum which I can input over here. So I added here. If I'll go to the output properties, here you can see the resolution I am going with for 1920 by 1080. So if I'll go to the render and render image, so let's check what I will get. So definitely there is some extra geometry just like the car and this board, but overall we have a lot of volume in our scene. Okay, so here you can see we spent 8 minutes 15 seconds, which is a huge amount. If you're going to render an animation, change it to the slot 2 and close this. And now let's go to the render setting, and here is a trick which you have to do. Go down, 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 and you will see an option called volumes, and go to the step rate render and just change this both render and viewport to minimum 5, or you can also go with 6, and you can also play with the max step, so which I am going to put 256. So basically these numbers will limit maximum step size for the volumes. If you move your cursor over here, it will show you what it actually does. Higher values reduce render time, lower values render with more details. So here is the numbers which I changed, and let me go to the render and let's render it again, render image, and let's see how much time it will take. Alright, so here you can see 2 minutes 13 seconds compared to 8 minutes 15 seconds, and let me compare the quality. So if you go to the shot 1 and there is a shot, you can see there is very minor which can't be noticeable. So yeah, this is huge time saver. I hope you really like it, and guys, please hit the like button if you really enjoy this video. Alright, let's move to the next. Any visual effect will look fake if you will not do the lighting right. So this tip is about the lighting. So let's suppose I created this scene, and already a tutorial available on our channel like how you can create this. So you can see this liquid dropping effect. So here you can see I have some basic lighting setup just to create the shadow like in the direction which is in real world, which is an important stuff, but this all the steps looks little fake. Even I did the texturing over here and also match the shadow, you can see, but still it not look right just because of the environment lighting. So whenever you are capturing a shot by yourself on a specific location, I will highly recommend to shoot a 360 environment map. So let me show you in this case what I have. So you can see this is a 360, a roughly 360 environment which I captured, so that if I'll add anything here, this all lighting, this all green, blue, white, and everything will reflect into our original artwork. So in the world tab, you just have to create a world and just set them for the environment texture. And here if I'll go and just plug an environment texture like in the color, you can see we have all the lighting backed, and this looks right. And you can add some coarse effect to match the contrast, and this will looks amazing. In the color, if I will just make it little bright, these things will looks little decent, but all the reflection, if I'll select this and let me change this to the environment reflecting onto this object, it not look right. So that's why I need a 360 which will help me to complete this task. Here you can see, and now this looks little right. So yeah, environment lighting play a big role when you are creating and want to achieve a realistic result. So always I will suggest always use a 360 environment. Even you are not able to capture, just try and go and find it from HDR I have, and they have a lot of free 360 environment. Okay, so let's move to the next part. This is another tip of depth of field. It's a very subtle thing which you have to take care of, but it will definitely play a big role in your visual effect. So let's suppose I have this scene where I am standing in a place where there is a lot of nature around me. I use a camera which has a wide angle lens. I also down the aperture, but if I will zoom over here, you can see this footage is blurry compared to the front element. Here you can see the front element. If I will go a little more front over here, you can see. So this is a subtle thing which you can ignore sometime, but if you will take care of these things, it will play a big role in a minor detailing. So first, if you have come successfully, tracked your scene and oriented and fixed the everything, just select your camera. And before doing this, if I will go down and if I'll play, you can see I have a cube on this scene. You can see I have a cube onto my scene, which is almost on a place where I am standing. Okay, and this will be a reference to add depth of field because there is not an actual human present in this 3D world. So once you successfully added a object, any object or an empty which is roughly on our same location where your actual subject in real life, you just have to select the camera, go to the camera properties and go a little bit down, and there is a depth of field. You just have to check it on, and by default it will be like this. Like you can see there is a blur. Let me make it more down like this, and you can also play with this distance, and which will definitely play a role. But in this case we have a target object, so I'll simply select this cube. So now our cube will be in a focus. So if I will disable this cube, now we have to mask in compositing, but now our subject will be in a focus and everything will be defocused. But you have to take care of the f-stop, the number you actually used in your camera, or you can also slightly tweak it until you find the good balance. Like you can the way I do is I just simply zoom the footage and try to match this blur and this blur a little bit to work. So now it's almost good. So yeah, this is a tip which will help you a lot. And by the way guys, this is my exclusive project which I have not revealed yet online, but yeah, for this amazing tips and trick video I revealed. So please hit the like button, and very soon I will finish and upload it once I will satisfy. Alright, so I hope you really enjoying this tutorial, and if this is the case, please hit the like button, subscribe our channel so that we can grow more fast. Alright, so I have this next example where I am added some simulation into visual effects shot. So in this tip I will explain how indirect lighting play a big role inside any visual effect shot. So if I'll bring this view on, so here you can see if I'll just play, so everything is right, but if the ground, if you'll see, let me disable this. Here you can see the ground is green. So on this area, if I'll enable this ground, you can see there is some light white bounce coming from the below. So let me enable shadow catcher. So this way if they will hit on the ground, it will create the ambient occlusion and everything. But the ground role is not only creating ambient occlusion, the role of ground is also throwing some reflection, some light bounce back to the original object. That's why the main texture game play a big role here, this indirect light bounce. So if I'll change the texture color to let's suppose a pink, you can see this area hitting with the pink. If I'll change this to the similar color which I have on the ground, like a green, you can see this turn them into a green. So you can see now it looks a lot more real. What you can do to go into even next step is, let me disable shadow catcher. So here I have a full setup for plug this and to the surface. So I have a same video here, I plug it and also change this texture coordinate into a window. So on every frame it auto refresh and play the same texture which is available on the ground, and I am also using as a bump map and also for the diffuse color. So if I'll make it shadow catcher, now we are getting some green. Here you can see we have some green light bounce. Let me disable this. You can see this is black, and with this right texture we have some green light bounce. So this is just a small step, but it play a big role to make your scene looks amazing and right. And I really hope you are enjoying this tips and trick video, and if this is the case, please hit the like button, subscribe our channel, and also consider with your friends and family who are interested about visual effect and 3D. Let's move to the next part. Let's suppose I have a cube over here which I will simply go and zoom, and when I will zoom in, let me disable the X-ray. So when I zoom in, you can see there are not enough room to rotate and see what is available inside. For the larger cases like this, I can simply and freely rotate and see and go anywhere. But for this type of scene where this object is there are not much room available and I want to see inside what is available. In this case there is nothing, but in suppose if you are adding something inside a box or a container or any object, you are struggling with this camera, how you can move it, because this is different from your actual camera. This is a viewport stuff and this is our camera view. So I'll press N, and if I'll go to the view, here is an option called focal length. Just change this to the 11, and now you can see your viewport focal length has been changed to a widest, and now you can see we have much room to play and much room to see and move stuff. Let's see. So this is definitely a smart tip, but it helped me when I stuck or when I need something, this kind of a situation. Let's move to the next part. And for this part, I'm not going to open any of my project. I will just simply show you what I want to share with you simply. So recently I make an artwork about iPhone falling, and that artwork goes viral, and I got 33 million views onto that artwork. In that video I discover a trick which help me in all of my upcoming videos. So let's suppose I have a scene where my iPhone or anything falling onto the ground. So you can see the speed which looks a little slow for me, and this is all about the visual effect speed. Whenever you are adding any kind of a rigid body simulation into your scene or a cloth simulation into your scene, in that situation the speed of your animation or simulation play a big role to make that object look like big, small, or make it real. So animation speed, simulation speed play a big role. So in this video I'll show you how you can tweak it. So let's suppose I will not change anything here. There are two ways to manipulate this. So first I'll go to this scene tab, and here your option called gravity. If I'll just reveal the gravity tab, now you can see the gravity amount is -9.8. Let's play -1 in the gravity. So now the gravity is much slower, so it will you can see our simulation looks like a slow motion. So this is a way you can play with the speed. And let me paste the actual one, and I will multiply into 2, and let me play, and you can see the speed. So let me change this to the default one, and if I'll go to the rigid body world over here, this is a second way. So there is a speed 1. If I'll change this to the 2, it will behave the same way, like it is falling very fast, you can see. And if I'll make it point like 5, the speed will become more slower, you can see. So rather than changing gravity, you can also change the speed over here, but maybe in some cases you have to tweak both, or maybe these things will not work, so you can also play with the gravity. So any visual effect can't be completed without compositing, and then the passes rule came in. It means if you want to composite your visual effect more, so let's suppose I want to render this whole animation when they interacting with the ground, like over here where the shadow are coming and the ambient occlusion casting. So I want to calculate that pass separately. So for that, and the way I set up render for the passes, go to the passes view layer, and here go to the passes, and this is data. So first I enable mist, but before that I will go down and enable shadow catcher, and also go up and enable mist. If you want to look at how it will appear, so go to the rendered mode and just click on this arrow and just change this render pass to shadow catcher. So the shadow catcher will look like this, you can see the only part where the shadow is visible. And if I'll change this to the mist pass, this is the mist pass, you can see. So for this I'm going to render a combined where the color pass or beauty pass will be, and the second will be a shadow catcher, and the third will be the mist pass, in case if I want to add some fog and something like that, in case if I want. So after enabling all the layers which you want to export, let's jump inside the compositing tab. And don't afraid guys, it is very easy. I can do, so obviously you can also do it. So here you can see render layers, and the options we enable here, it also appear here just like the shadow catcher and mist. Now you just have to press Shift A and just search a node called file output here, and just select this, go to the node and go down, and first you have to decide where you wanna export. So just decide the location where you want to export it, and the file format which I usually choose is to OpenEXR multi-layer, which gives me a lot of freedom, just like it will contain all this data in single one file. And on here just change this codec to the DWA lossy. So just rename this to the color, add input to add one more, and let's add shadow. Actually this is shadow catcher, not shadow. And here I can add mist. Okay, and just bring the mist into mist, image into color, and the shadow catcher into shadow, and just define the directory. And once it's done, just go to the render and render animation, and it will render everything in this 3 passes. And let me quickly jump inside the After Effects so that I can show you how it works quickly. And this is our render. So just bring back over here, and let's go to the effect and control, and let's apply a effect called extractor R, and go to the layers and choose color. So now we have a color data, and in starting it will look black. For fixing this, I will simply add an effect called exposure and just change the gamma correction to around 2.8, and it is fine. Now you will see contact shadow is missing, so I will simply select this and duplicate this, and in the first one I will rename this to the color, and in the second one I will rename this to the shadow. And on here I will just disable the exposure and change this layer only to the shadow, and now you can see our shadow is back. But you just have to go to the blending mode. If you will not able to see, just click on the toggle switches and just change this blending mode to the multiply, and you can see we have our shadow separately and also our color separately. So now let's suppose I don't want this much of harsh shadow. I can add a exposure and just down the correction, and I can, I'm just only correcting in shadow. So this is the freedom which I get into compositing when we render our artwork into several passes. Let's suppose if I'll go to the color here, I can simply add a cursive effect, and I can just add some contrast into our scene. So you can see we are only adjusting our color here just because we have a separate pass for the color. So I hope you got the idea of why the passes are necessary if you are going to create any 3D or visual effect shot. So thanks for watching this video. Thanks for loving me. I am NPS3D, and I will see you next time with an amazing tutorial. Until then, keep working, keep smiling, and I will see you next time. Bye bye. Take care.